Josh Allen is a beast. Jayden Daniels is a dog. Pat Mahomes, well, he's Pat Mahomes. Where's that leave Brock Purdy?
Yo, it's time to grind. With Brian on the mic, content is one of a kind. Now, welcome to my show, the BS Report, where we let the truth flow. We're breaking down the stories, shining light on the games. No fake news here, just hot takes blowing flames. The BS Report, yeah, we're keeping it tight. Bringing you the news, making it ignite. Tune in, turn it up, feel the heat rise. With Brian in the house, our takes won't be compromised. From the latest news to the hottest debates, in the BS Report, we're setting the stakes. So come along, join the ride, where Brian and his subscribers are full of Niner pride. Yo,
I have seen on Twitter and other social media places, on Facebook, I'm a member of a lot of 49er fan pages, and I have seen all over the place last weekend and this weekend people making a lot of comparisons of Brock Purdy to the quarterbacks in the NFL now. And I know I've talked about this a little bit in other videos, but I just want to talk a little bit more on it. After you watch games like we've seen this weekend, when you see Pat Mahomes go out there and be Pat Mahomes, now don't get me wrong, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, and I still don't believe the NFL is rigged, to be honest with you. But it's real hard not to see a little bit of favoritism in regards to Pat Mahomes when you watch some of these games and you see some of the stuff that gets called in their favor, um, whether it be on hits that he's taken or calls that aren't being made altogether. Um, but at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. Like that pass that he threw where he's being tackled and he's falling to the ground and he throws a dart in there to Travis Kelce for the touchdown. My goodness. And then you watch games like the Commanders and the Lions game. How can you come away from that game and watching that and seeing what Jayden Daniels did and not just be overwhelmed with envy, I guess? I mean, as good as Brock Purdy is, there's no way anybody is going to tell me that he is Jayden Daniels because it's not. It's not close. The level of quarterback that they are compared to each other, even in Brock Purdy's first year, you can say, from when he took over from Jimmy Garoppolo in that Miami game, all the way until the Baltimore game when he was playing on top of his game, he was never, ever close to the level that Jayden Daniels is. Jayden Daniels is carrying that Washington team. Brock Purdy never did that. They are winning those games on the legs and arm of Jayden Daniels. Now, not to say he doesn't have help, not to say his defense isn't playing well, not to say that his supporting staff isn't playing well. But you take Jayden Daniels off that team and you put Brock Purdy on that team, they don't make the playoffs. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. I mean, and then on the other side of the ball, and you see Jared Goff, another very good, serviceable quarterback, a quarterback that you can win a lot of games with, a quarterback that has a lot of talent around him. But he's making $50 million a year, and he came up short. Now, you can blame the defense for that, and I can't argue with that. I can't say that you'd be wrong in doing so. Um, had they had a fully healthy defense, who knows? Maybe they win that game. I mean, you can't say one way or another. I'd say the odds are a lot better that they do. But the fact of the matter is, there's teams out there that are playing with defenses that aren't elite. And I would say that if you were to put, I don't know, an elite level quarterback on that Lions team, maybe they do win anyways. Because Jared Goff threw a lot of horrendous horrendous interceptions in that game. So it just goes to show you the difference between, in that one game, you can see the difference between a very good quarterback and an elite quarterback. When the elite quarterback had to make the plays to win the game, he did. And when the very good quarterback had to make the plays to win the game, he didn't. I'm sorry, but it's that simple for me. And then you watch the games today, the Philadelphia and Rams game, that was a little bit harder to judge for the simple fact that, and that's the one game where I would say probably the lesser quarterback won, but the lesser quarterback also had probably the much better team surrounding him. And it was in horrible weather. There was a lot of factors that went into that game. One team is used to playing in weather like that. The other team is not used to playing in weather like that. And Matt Stafford is elite, so he should probably be able to pull you out of games like that and get you. And Stafford was, to me, he just didn't look good today. His stats will tell you something a little bit different, but watching the game, he just didn't play well at all. And neither did Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you. And granted, Hurts got hurt, so that slowed him down a little bit late in the game. But ultimately, in that particular game, the better team won. And then you get to the game tonight with the Bills and the Ravens. And Josh Allen, that guy, Lamar Jackson is a very good quarterback. Okay. Patrick Mahomes is elite in every sense of the word. Same for Joe Burrow. But Josh Allen is the best quarterback in football. And I am going to stand on my soapbox and say it's not close. Josh Allen is by far the best quarterback in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes has more Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has won against Josh Allen. Give me all the stats. Give me all the stuff. I don't care. If I could have one quarterback on my team, I'm taking Josh Allen. I just am. And I watch that guy and I think, oh my goodness, that is an insane, talented dude right there. And watching that game and the other games, I don't see how anybody can compare just from the eye test, the level of play of Brock Purdy compared to those guys. How can you? Those guys all put the team on their back and took them to victory. Josh Allen won that game for the Bills. Patrick Mahomes won that game for the Chiefs. Jayden Daniels won that game for the Commanders. When has Brock Purdy won a game for the 49ers? I don't see it. Look at all season long. Look at how many last second Hail Mary type miraculous plays did Jayden Daniels put out there. It's so impressive to see such a young guy with so much poise and so much just confidence, calm confidence. In that regard, he reminds me a lot of Pat Mahomes. And I just think it's so impressive to see a quarterback. And you know what? That's a franchise quarterback. That's an elite quarterback. That is a $60 million a year quarterback right there. A quarterback that you can tell, you can grab him by the shoulder pads, look him in the eye and say, go get me that game. And odds are he's going to do it. And that's exactly what those quarterbacks did this weekend. And I don't see how you can look at Brock Purdy and hold him to the same level as those guys. And this is not meant to be a dunk on Brock Purdy video. This is not meant to be a let's dog on Purdy thing. It is just calling it for what it is. Brock Purdy is a very good quarterback, just like Jared Goff is a very good quarterback, just like Baker Mayfield is a very good quarterback, just like there's lots of them out there, just like Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. That's not to say that you can't win a lot of games with those quarterbacks. But when you need the quarterback to just take over the game, you need the quarterback to go out there and win it for you. I don't know how you can watch any game that Brock Purdy has played in his career and say that he's those guys. And if you can't say that, how can you be willing to pay him more money than those guys? And don't give me, well, he's the next man up deal. No, that is the most ridiculous, dumbest thing I've ever heard. When I hear people say, well, Jared Goff got it, and Jordan Love got it, and Justin Herbert got it, and Trevor Lawrence got it, and Tua Tagovailoa got it. Who cares? Just because their franchises paid non-elite quarterbacks elite quarterback money doesn't mean that the 49ers have to do the same thing, especially when their quarterback is still under contract for another year. And then is able to be franchise tagged twice after that. So he really has team control for 3 seasons at much less than $60 to $65 million. So for me, it doesn't make any sense to do something like that. So excuse me, I don't see what the value or what the benefit is of caving and giving Brock a contract like that at this point. To me, it's just nonsensical. And as much as I tried, as much as I try to justify it and wrap my mind around it, I can't come to that conclusion, especially after watching games like we watched this weekend. How can you watch this? How can you watch actual elite quarterbacks do elite quarterback things and then come back to the table and say, hey, Brock's with those guys. He should make more than those guys. Give me a break. He's 6-11 sitting home. Like, no. This whole season, the end of last season, how can you come to that conclusion? Where is the evidence of that? And that's where I guess I would say frustration comes from. And it's not like I'm trying actively to take money out of Brock Purdy's pockets. Like, I don't care, in the big picture. I really could care less if Brock Purdy makes $100 million a year or $1 million a year. It's not my money. What I do care about is the 49ers. I'm a fan of the 49ers. And so my ultimate goal for this team is to be playing for what the 4 teams left in the playoffs right now are playing for. The chance to play for the Super Bowl and ultimately win the Super Bowl. That's what I care about. And whether we like it or not, whether we can agree on whether he should be paid or not be paid, the fact of the matter is the NFL is a salary capped league. So how much money these players get paid matters. So all these people who want to come out and say that, well, he took less already, so he's not going to take less now, pay him. Well, first of all, he didn't take less. He got paid according to his draft position. He didn't have a choice. He got paid what he was going to get paid. He couldn't get paid more and he couldn't get paid less. So he didn't take less. He got paid what he got paid because of the film that he put out there in college. If he wanted to be a first-round pick in the NFL and make more money then he should have put out better film when he was at Iowa State. But he didn't. Now, should he have been drafted in the 7th round? Probably not. He probably should have been, third, second, third, fourth rounder, somewhere in that area in hindsight. But even if you go just off of his college tape, he should have been end of day 2, somewhere in the beginning of day 3 pick. Definitely not where he was picked. But the fact of the matter is he did get drafted where he got drafted. So don't come at me with he took less money. No, he didn't. Now, he has played on less money than he should have gotten. Yes, that much is true. And for the people out there who want to say you get paid for past performance, I know I went over this already. No, you don't get paid for past performance. That is not the way it works. It's just not. You get paid for what you're projected to do in the future. And like I said in the previous video, if you want to pay him on past performance, then which past? The first half of his career up to this point or the second half of his career up to this point? So this idea that Brock Purdy should get a $60 to $65 million a year contract, a $50 to $55 million a year contract is ludicrous. It is insane. Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback, a very, very good quarterback, but he is not an elite quarterback. He is not worthy of elite quarterback money. He's just not. And watching the playoffs this year has done nothing but confirm that inside of me. And I don't know how many times I'm going to go back and forth with people on this. The fact of the matter is we are fans of a team that plays in a salary cap league. So the amount of money that Brock Purdy makes does matter. And people who want to say, well, if he makes 60 million in 3 years, it's not going to matter because the salary cap's going to go up and this, that, and the other. No, it's still going to matter. Because whether the salary cap is 260 million or 360 million, 60 million is still more than 40 million. So however you want to try to twist that, it does not matter. And to say that 60 million now is basically the same as 30 million was or 33 million was when Baker Mayfield signed his contract, as far as percentage goes, that is incorrect. It's not. It's not. When Baker Mayfield signed that $33 million a year contract, that was not top of the market money. $60 to $65 million a year right now would be top of the market money. $50 to $55 million a year right now would be near top of the market. And 2 years ago, when Baker signed that deal, $33 million was not near top of the market money. So a $40 to $45 million a year contract now would be similar in percentage as what Baker signed. So I don't want to hear that either. And I know I feel like I keep going off on these tangents on every video about Brock Purdy's contract. And it's just like every day something comes up or I see something or I watch something that just deepens that inside of me that we can't do this. How can you watch NFL football and come to the conclusion that Brock is those guys and should be paid more than them? You know, the only way that the next guy up should reset the market is if the next guy up is a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the NFL. Brock's not anywhere close to that. So it's just amazing. You know, I'm watching. You see the pass that Jayden Daniels threw today to his receiver Brown, I believe. And the defender put his hand over the eyes of the receiver, but it didn't matter because Jayden Daniels dropped that ball right in the bucket in stride. That that was a beautiful sight. When was the last time we seen Brock do something like that on that distance? I mean, how can you have any thoughts about Brock being in the neighborhood of those guys? I don't get it. And like I said many times before, I really like the heck out of Brock Purdy. I really do. I wish more than anything he could be our franchise quarterback. But reality is reality and facts are facts. And the fact is, he's not. And the fact is I'm a 49ers fan first. One thing that I have learned since I started doing this content creator stuff and being on YouTube is when you start doing this, you have to start becoming more you become more of a fan of the team and not really it's really hard to be fans of players, especially players on your team, because you have to start looking at them. If you want to be sincere in what you do on here, when you're creating content and you're talking about the team, if you want to be sincere and you want to be real and you're not just trying to be a homer and you're trying to be, you know, as legitimate in your takes as you can be, then you have to be honest about what you're seeing. You know, if I wasn't a content creator, I might look at this team in a different light. I might be full on fan mode and be like Brock Purdy all the way, especially because I'm from Arizona. He's from Arizona. He grew up not 15 minutes from me. And, you know, the fact that he is a strong Christian man and rooted in his beliefs, and I am similar to that, is even more reason for me to root for the guy. Um, but the reality is the reality. And in doing this, content creation stuff, I've come to the understanding that I'm a fan of the 49ers first. And if I'm going to come out here and talk to you guys and I'm going to give you guys honest and real takes and not just try to please people who don't do this, people who are just genuine fans and look, guys, I get it. You want to root and cheer for Brock Purdy because you want him to be everything that you think he is. Because if he was those things, that would be what's best for the team. And you want the team to win. I get it. But at the end of the day, he's just not. Just like Jimmy wasn't. And I have a feeling a lot of the guys that are super fans of Brock Purdy were also super fans of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know I wasn't doing content creation in the days of Trey Lance, but I was a huge Trey Lance supporter. I was a huge Trey Lance supporter. But that's primarily because I seen the potential to be what those superstar quarterbacks are in him. I still, if I'm being completely honest, wish nothing but the best for that guy. I hope Trey Lance proves everybody wrong. I hope he goes out there, finds a team. It's not looking good for him right now. But I hope he goes out there and finds a team and he's able to become everything that I was hoping he would be with the 49ers, because I think the poor kid deserves it. And I think he got dealt a raw deal by Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and even Jed York, because Jed York should have never allowed it to happen. I feel so sorry for that kid, man. I feel like Kyle Shanahan destroyed his career, and that's seriously effed up. There's just no other way to put it. And all the people out there who hate Trey Lance and say he wasn't this or that or the other, fine, that's fair, whatever. Here he wasn't, but he never got the chance. Not a real one. He never actually got a real opportunity to go out and show what he could do with the full support of the organization behind him and the patience that a young player like him deserves. And if he was too raw and he wasn't ready and the 49ers wanted somebody a little bit more ready to win right away, they should have done more homework. That it wasn't his fault that they drafted him where they did. He put out there what he put out there. And the 49ers should have done more homework on him then before they took him. So that's also not on him. So I still have not totally given up hope that he can end up being something. And, you know, think about that what you will. That's fine. But I wish the kid nothing but the best. Um, anyways, off of that, back to the original subject. I honestly think that if you watch these playoffs objectively and you look at this team objectively, meaning the 49ers, you would have no other choice but to come to the conclusion that we have a very good quarterback who can probably win us a lot of games with a very good team around him. But the way that this team is currently constructed, I'm talking Ayuk not being available, Debo not being very good, Christian McCaffrey being a shell of his former self due to injury or regression or both, I don't know. And the defense being older and more depleted, Brock Purdy is not enough to win us anything of substance. He's just not. Now, let me ask you this question. If you took Brock Purdy off this team and put Jayden Daniels on this team, would they be in the playoffs? I can almost guarantee it. If you took Purdy off this team and put Josh Allen on this team, would they be in the playoffs? I can certainly guarantee it. If you took Purdy off the team and put Pat Mahomes on this team, or Joe Burrow on this team, even Lamar Jackson on this team, would they be in the playoffs? I would certainly think so. So, to me, it's a very, very simple conversation. If you can take Purdy off this team and put 5 or 6, probably more, other quarterbacks on this team, and we be in a completely different situation as we sit here today, how can you tell me that Brock's elite? Because I don't know that I could actually take you serious if you were to get in the comments and tell me that Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jayden Daniels, any one of them, Justin Herbert, were put on this team, we would still be 6-11. I mean, have some integrity in your takes. That's craziness. That is pure craziness. Look at last year when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Look at the offense they won the Super Bowl with. Did they have more talent last year than the Niners had this year? I don't think so. I don't think so. Look at Buffalo's offense this year. Does that offense this year have more talent on it than the 49ers offense this year? I don't think so. So, I mean, come on. You look at a team like Cincinnati, they didn't make the playoffs this year. Joe Burrow played out of his mind. That defense was a laughingstock. That defense was a disaster. So, man, I just don't get it. I don't get all the comments that I get, whether it's on a couple of my videos that I've posted, whether it's on, posts I put in other social media areas, just in talking to friends and family that are just like saying that I am too hard on Brock. And I'm just like, man, are we not watching the same games? I don't understand. It just blows my mind. It does. Another thing I kind of was thinking about in regards to these playoffs is, if let's say the 49ers do get back to the playoffs next year and they're able to put it together enough to where they get in as at least a wild card. With coming to the conclusion, at least for me, and I know I came to this conclusion a long time ago, but being, a little bit more driven into me during these playoffs. If we get into a position where it seems like every game has come down to where the teams needed the quarterback to go down there and win them the game. If we pay Brock $60 million a year, 50, 55, 60, 65, anywhere in there. And we come to a position where we need him to take the ball with a minute left and go down and win us the game. And he can't do it. What are all of you Brock Purdy super fans going to say then? Are you going to be willing at that point to admit what's really in front of you, or are you going to find another fall guy? Are you going to put it on the offensive line? Are you going to put it on receivers? Are you going to put it on the defense? What is it going to take for, and this is a sincere question. Like, I really want to know. I really want you guys to put it in the comments. All you guys that really, really think that Brock Purdy is on the level of the elite quarterbacks in the league. I really want to know, what will it take for you guys to finally admit that Brock Purdy is a very good quarterback at best? For you to admit that Brock Purdy is not a $50+ million a year quarterback. What would actually have to happen for you guys to come to that conclusion and admit it? The same thing applies to Kyle Shanahan. For all of you super Kyle Shanahan fans out there, does he have to blow another 10-point lead in a big game for you to come to that conclusion? Does he have to waste the rookie seasons of another draft class besides for injury reasons? I really want to know, because those are the two players that everybody gets the most defensive about, or the two people, Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. Everybody gets so defensive when you say anything negative about those guys, and it's like hellfire and brimstone is rained upon anybody who says anything about Brock or Kyle. So I sincerely want to know in the comment section, what will it actually take for you fans out there that feel that way to admit that they are not that guy? I would love to hear it. And if I get enough comments on it, if I get enough people putting out some real legitimate argument, some real legitimate debate, not just coming on and talking shit, not just getting on there and trying to put my take down, or, I mean, I don't care, that's fine, but I'm looking for sincere, legitimate debate here. And so if other people comment similar to the way that I express how I feel, and you debate it sincerely, in good faith, then, maybe I'll make a video about that, about the actual debate. So, I mean, I think it would be real neat to actually, because all I really hear is people who want to say that Brock is great and Brock is this and Brock is that and he's on that level, but I never really hear why. I never really see examples of how. It's always just stats, his quarterback rating, and no, I don't care about all of that. Look at Sam Darnold's stats this year. At the end of the day, what happened? So look at seasons that Nick Foles has had. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl MVP. Look at seasons that Brock Osweiler has had. Look at seasons that so many quarterbacks across the league have had for a season or two and turned out to be. So don't give me stats. I want to hear what attributes of Brock actually make him an elite quarterback. Because I'll tell you what, I don't think that Josh Allen is an elite quarterback based on the numbers he puts up. I don't believe that about Pat Mahomes. I don't believe that about Joe Burrow. It's not about that with those guys. What makes those guys elite is the fact that they go out and do what it takes to win the game. They put the team on their back. They carry their teams to victory. Almost to a point where the only thing that can stop them is another elite quarterback. It doesn't matter what defense you throw at them. It doesn't matter. So I would sincerely like to hear that. You know, I've heard other content creators ask their subscribers and their followers to do the same thing in the comments, but I've never actually got to see if that happened. So I'm asking you, as people who watch my videos, to actually do that so I can see it and let's talk about it. And then, like I said, if I get enough feedback and I get enough content back to where I can actually make a video, we'll do that. And I have no problem letting any of you guys be devil's advocate. I have no problem letting any or giving love to any of your takes that are opposed to mine. That's what makes this fun. That's what makes this interesting. This would be really boring and suck if everybody agreed. So the fact that a lot of you out there don't agree with me, that's great. Makes it fun. So, I mean, here's something. I'll say this. Maybe this will get people talking. I don't know. But I personally don't think that Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback. I'm probably going to get killed. You know, prior to this season, my take on Lamar Jackson was that he was a glorified running back. He was a great football player, but an average quarterback at best. That was my take prior to this season. Now, this season, I've come around a lot. I've seen a lot of improvement in Lamar. I'll be honest about that. But I still don't think he's an elite quarterback. I still believe he's an elite football player, but not an elite quarterback. To me, you cannot crumble in the playoffs year after year after year. And granted, he took the Ravens down the field at the end of the game and threw a touchdown, and he threw the 2-point conversion. That game should have been tied. It wasn't his fault that that pass was dropped. But he did turn the ball over twice in that game, something he had not done all season. There's just something about the pressure of the playoffs that makes, just like getting into the playoffs elevates Josh Allen, it almost seems too heavy for Lamar. And to me, if you wilt under the pressure in the playoffs, you can't be elite. That to me is the number one thing that will take you out of elite status. So, and I'm also very, very curious because, you know, Lamar Jackson's athleticism is not going to be with him forever. There will come a time in the not too distant future where that speed, that elusiveness starts to weary a little bit. And he is not the Lamar Jackson we know today. Teams don't have to play him for that. What kind of a quarterback is he at that point? So I'm real curious about that too when it comes to Lamar. And, you know, I have a cousin who is probably the biggest Lamar fan that I've ever seen in my life. And I have this argument with him all the time. And he calls me a Lamar hater. I'm not a Lamar hater. I'm not trying to dog on Lamar. I just don't see what a lot of people see. I see a great athlete, an elite, maybe the best athlete the NFL's ever seen. And he's a guy that can take over games because of that. But it seems like in the playoffs, quarterbacks have to play quarterback. And it just seems like that gets a little heavy for him at times. And in the playoffs, you're supposed to elevate your game. You're supposed to elevate your team. That's what makes you elite. Look at Josh Allen, regular season compared to playoffs. Look at Patrick Mahomes, the way he rises to the occasion when it matters the most. You know, and hey, that might be an argument that some people give me about Brock because he's never really wilted under pressure. Even in the Super Bowl last season, he didn't play bad. He didn't. In a lot of ways, he may have outplayed Patrick Mahomes until it mattered. That's the thing. When it was time to push all the chips to the center of the table, when it was time to go all in, Patrick Mahomes rose to the occasion and Brock didn't. So, you know, I'm really curious to see if I get people to respond and get the comments on this. Um, yeah, I think. Let me ask you one more thing. If Jayden Daniels goes out next weekend and beats the Eagles, now I know these are all big ifs that I'm about to say. Full disclosure, I'm 100% aware of that. But just if Jayden Daniels goes out against the Eagles and wins in Philly, and then he goes to New Orleans in the Super Bowl and beats either Josh Daniels, and especially if he beats Patrick Mahomes. And if that happens, it will be because of him. Let's not get that twisted. And Jayden Daniels, as a rookie, leads the Washington Commanders to the Super Bowl, especially if it's against Patrick Mahomes. And especially if he's the one who's hoisting that Super Bowl MVP trophy and it's on his shoulders that they get there. Does he automatically go to elite status? Is he automatically considered a top 2 to 5 quarterback in the NFL? I mean, you almost have to, don't you? I know that seems like a ridiculous thing to say because I'm like a lot of people would like to see, you know, more than a year, probably more than 2 of elite play because you look at someone like CJ Stroud, but Jayden Daniels having a better season than CJ Stroud did last year. And so, I mean, I really, what do you guys think? What do you think about that? If Jayden Daniels wins the Super Bowl, especially if it's against Mahomes, somebody that our 49ers in 2 opportunities couldn't do. Is he considered elite at that point? Is he a top 5 quarterback at that point? I don't know how you can hold him out of that. He won the Super Bowl as a rookie. Yeah, and I know I just said a few minutes ago that so did Nick Foles and all this other stuff, but man, I am super impressed with Jayden Daniels. But hey, I've been super impressed with Jayden Daniels since he played at ASU, right in my backyard. So I can say that I was on the Jayden Daniels bandwagon long time ago. So anyhow, guys, that's the video for today. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you later.